operation that we've done overnight. I want to acknowledge our Executive Mayor, Councillor Kwamanda. I want to thank you for your team in particular, the emergency team, and everyone that has been with us ever since. And acknowledge members of the mayoral committees that are here, from police, finance, utilities, and all councillors that are here, and those that are in charge of various institutions. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the city manager and the entire management structure, so the COO as well, and want to thank them for the work that they continue to do, and further acknowledge representatives of various institutions of government. We have a consolidated report that has been crafted by all affected parties. They came together and consolidated a report, and I'll go through this report as speedily as possible so that we can cover literally everything that needs to be covered. The report will outline the current situation and take us through the orientation, that is the setup of the area, and also unpack the roles and responsibilities of each and every institution that has been part of this responsibility, and we'll share information with you about those that are injured, fatalities, as well as the road closures within the city, how the teams are managing the entire situation. Because we suspect one form of gas or another, we'll also give an update on the recent information that EgoliGas has provided to the team, and also the process of recovering vehicles and releasing them to the appropriate owners, as well as social development related matters, that is housing, evacuation, and the management of those that are homeless and destitute within the city. We can now formally confirm that the SAPS received a call about the explosion around 17:45, and the explosion affected Lilian Ngoi, commonly known as previously as Bree Street, and Loveday on the western side of the city, and this went on to affect Klein Street on the eastern side, and Rahima Musa on the southern side, and Plain Street on the northern side. I'm emphasizing these points of the teams that are here, so that by the time you ask questions, you know who's here and who's doing what. The Johannesburg Road Agency was assigned the task of traffic diversion, signal design, and concrete barriers so that the city can be accessible, but the area that is affected can be protected. The city manager was assigned the task of dealing with all outer perimeters matters and also prevent unlawful interference in terms of the scene. JMPD, they were posted across all intersections together with the SAPS so that they can manage the road closures and also ensure that the scene is not contaminated. SAPS also manage the movement of members of society and also the movement of members of the media, and also to ensure that those that are within the residential area are confined to the areas that have been declared to be safe so that we can manage all related matters. We are told that there were 10 teams representing both the police, JMPD and POPs, and more members are being mobilized so that we can protect the scene and ensure that everything is fine. The Department of Human Settlement was assigned the big task of identifying the homeless and also those that have been asked to leave the area. We identified 3 Gauteng Street, which is at the corner of Joburg, to be the area where we'll house everyone that needed housing. Unfortunately, majority of the homeless, they just vanished and left the scene, but the team is trying to track them so that we can be in a position to understand why they didn't want to go to 3 Gauteng Street where they were assigned to go. Because we are suspecting gas, we've now formally brought all institutions that deal with gas. We now have EgoliGas, we've brought Sasol, and we are bringing anyone that has either underground pipes or cabling, telecom, water, and any institution that we really believe will assist us just to determine the cause of the impact and also give us the necessary advice. So we have brought those institutions, including City Power, who have since taken a decision to switch off. I think that's the Bree Street substation. So that the team can go in there, identify the cause, and also assist us to identify areas of intervention, areas that need our immediate intervention. So EgoliGas is continuing to assess and rehabilitate the pipeline where it's necessary. And Sasol, they've got their pipelines, but they are at the outer sides of where the explosion took place. But we have brought them so that they can also advise and guide us on areas where they believe we need to get informed information so that we can be in a position to take the appropriate decision with all the law enforcement agencies. Johannesburg Water and Environmental Health are assessing the gas leaks. Even though EgoliGas insists that it's not their pipeline, but we all know that it's now common knowledge that there is a high smell of gas in the entire area. So the teams from environmental health are assisting us to determine where this gas comes from and also to advise us on the actions that we need to take. Unfortunately, during the process of handing over the vehicles that were affected to their owners, we found a body of a male underneath the cars, and that particular body has not been identified, and we are trying to locate relatives and family members. So we can indeed confirm that we've got one fatality. The body was discovered at the corner of Lilian Ngoi and Joburg Street. It was stuck underneath the cars when the team were handing over the cars to their owners. The collated information about the number of people that were injured now stands at 48. But currently we only have 12 patients that are remaining in hospital. The rest has been discharged. So the total tally remains at 48, with 12 still remaining at hospital, and the rest were discharged either late last night or early hours of this morning. The patients were transported to Hillbrow Hospital, South Rand Hospital, Garden City Hospital, Malberton Hospital, and Charlotte Maxeke Hospital. We want to deal with road closure and traffic diversion. This is a headache currently. The teams are trying extremely hard. Because we've closed major roads, and Bree Street is the busiest roads, is amongst the busiest roads in the CBD. There are lots of taxi ranks, there are lots of drop-offs, and there are lots of people that have indicated their frustration about the signage and the movement of areas where taxis are now stationed and areas where they need to connect their transport. But we are assured by those that are working on this matter that as soon as we get the cause of the explosion, they will move with speed to release some of the roads. But because we have to be cautious, a majority of the roads remain closed, and the teams are even trying to check they can't change one-way roads into two ways or ensure that the road management or the traffic flow management is accelerated in a manner that it doesn't cause frustration to motorists and to other road users. As earlier indicated, EgoliGas remains our center of focus because all of us agree that the cause of this either explosion or impact is gas, so that we can isolate all institutions that have the legal mandate to deal with gas. So we now know that EgoliGas have a blue line, it's an 80mm steel pipe that cut across Elof and Liliengoy Street, but we are told it's a low pressure facility. We also have a 355mm high density PP pipe that goes through Bree Street as well. But we are also advised it's a low pressure pipe as well. And then there is another 355 high density PP pipe, which at this present moment we've been advised that that's the high pressure pipe that is running at 22 kPa and is situated between the two street blocks, the north from the incident and east to the west. So another green line that is running underneath the sidewalk parallel to the road surface. So we've asked them to identify all their pipes. I know it sounds too technical, it's also too technical for me. We've asked them to identify all their pipes, and they've given us this information, and then we'll hand over to those that are experts, and they can then advise us on how to take this process forward. How many vehicles were involved or affected? To date, we've counted 34 vehicles, and the 34 vehicles have been handed over back to the owners. But there were those that were in a bad state. The police have advised that those that were in the best state are 7, and they advise that they should be kept at the scene so that those that are dealing with investigations can continue to conclude their investigations. there were 4 private vehicles that were handed over to their owners. So of the 34 that have been handed over, majority of them were taxis. And you know, it's an industry, and therefore they have to do business. And we didn't want to delay that element, and they were then handed over. In conclusion, our technical experts continue to do their work as directed by the city manager and law enforcement agencies, and they will keep the area sterile until it's rehabilitated. Road closures and diversions will remain in place until further notice. The provincial government and local government have started to set up a disaster process of identifying how quick can we rehabilitate the affected areas, especially those that will have a severe impact in the economic activity of the city. So we want to protect the economic activity of the city so that we don't affect those that are employed, or affect businesses, or affect courts and other related activities that are taking place within our CBD. I want to leave it here, but also confirm that our structural engineers have been deployed to the scene, that those that are specializing on OHS, that those that are specializing on structural and civil, and that those that are specializing on fire detection, geotech, and gas utility, so that they can continue to update us on all these matters. So for now, we want the team to rest because they've been busy overnight, and we need their expertise. We suspect, but our communication teams will issue that statement. We will give you another update around lunchtime, 1 o'clock. Hopefully by that time, additional information will be available. We are still searching for the source. You can see the way we've isolated various elements of the explosion. We are still searching for the source, the cause, so that we can be in a position to intervene and provide the necessary solutions. Until we find that source, it's extremely difficult for us to provide the guidance on all other matters that need our immediate attention. I'm not sure, Executive Mayor, I'll hand over to you as well to add areas which I might have missed, and then hand over to the Provincial Commissioner. Executive Mayor.
Thank you, Premier. Good morning to the residents in the city. Good morning to the media houses, General, Head of Administration, and MMCs that are present. Thank you for the comprehensive report to the residents in terms of how we are managing the situation on the ground. I do not want to state what you've already alluded to, but for me is to reassure the residents that we are indeed dealing with the situation and we are on the ground. We would like to maintain constant communication with yourselves, but the technical nature of what needs to be done in order for us to establish and understand the root cause of this whole incident requires us to be hands-on and on the ground. Hence, all the MMCs that are directly affected, including the MMC of Finance, who will then be able to assist us in terms of deploying resources that are needed, especially for those that are affected, like the homeless, who we've allocated temporary accommodation to, but they haven't utilized it, and we are trying to establish the reasons as to why. And we are trying to barricade this area so that we can prevent further possibilities of an incident from taking place. But I am very much confident, and I hope that the residents are as well, in the capabilities of our administration and law enforcement agencies that are on the ground. JRA has been very efficient in identifying the areas that need to be quarantined and redirecting traffic so that we can ensure that economic activities continue in the city of Johannesburg. But we need to enter into those uncomfortable conversations, unfortunately, so that we can assure and ensure our businesses that continue to operate in the city, that we will respond to this challenge with the swiftness that it requires, and ensure that we prevent further losses of life. For me, I think that is to encourage the residents to please be compliant with law enforcement agencies that are within the area. Bylookers should refrain from going anywhere close to the incident itself, because their lives are our priority at this point. And we also urge the media to keep a very safe distance when looking at the site itself, because your lives are also our concern. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Executive Mayor. Truly appreciate that. General Mawen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. Thank you very much, EM. Ladies and gents, now we are going to open for question and answers. You now know the drill. By show of hands, introduce yourself in the media house. Heidi. Okay, let me give you the mic and then you'll hand over to the next. Yeah.
Heidi Jokos from EMCA. I just want to ask, we come from the sea now, and police are really being overpowered by citizens because people are trying to get to work. Some are even trying to get to their apartments after they were evacuated.
All right, so the briefing ended there by the Premier Panyaza Lesufi as well as the Executive Mayor. So you can hear that the media are now about to ask some questions, and we'll monitor that and see if anything more does come out of it. But let me just analyse and very quickly summarise what's been said. In total, 48 people were injured, 1 is deceased, and there are 12 currently still in hospital. The cause still unknown at this stage, so the investigations are continuing. The majority of roads in and around the area have been completely closed off, so the investigation can continue, but they're trying to do it as fast as possible so they can resume business as fast as possible. EgoliGas still remain at the centre of this investigation because they believe that whatever happened, it was due to something that had to do with a gas, whether it be directly linked or indirectly linked, but they are suspecting that gas had something to do with it. But this is something that they are looking at. They don't want to jump to conclusions, and EgoliGas are supplying all of the information for the underground network of their pipes so that the experts in this area can have a look, analyse, and perhaps pinpoint where the problem came in. In terms of the vehicles, there were 34 cars that were affected and damaged in this particular incident that happened. 7 are still on the scene. Those 7 are probably those that have been completely either immersed into the structures or just really badly affected by it. 4 private vehicles were involved. The other 30 were taxis. So the private vehicles have been handed back. The taxis have also been handed back, but 7 are still on the scene because those are the ones, as you can see, that have been toppled and very, very badly affected. So this is a big, big issue where structural engineers are investigating, and they are on the scene trying to figure out what happened yesterday. So that's just a very brief summary of what the Premier had to tell us this morning. Nozintombi Mia is out and about on Bree Street as well, I think perhaps closer to the scene, or if I'm not mistaken, you're actually very much so by the taxi rank as well. Give us an update. What are you seeing this morning? We've heard from the Premier, still no clues as to what has actually happened, but you are seeing the after effects of the devastation this morning. Nozintombi, good morning to you.
Thank you so much, Leanne. I mean, we're literally right here, standing at the corner of Bree Street taxi rank, and I'm going to ask my camera colleague Kina to show you what we're seeing here. You're seeing the taxis that are that have been queuing here since early this morning, and we're going to just do a little walkabout here just to give you an idea of what the situation here is like. I mean, it's been such a frustrating day, such a frustrating morning for a lot of the taxi drivers and the taxi passengers. I see one of the taxi drivers here. Hi, my guy, how are you? How stressful has the traffic been?
Hey, my sister Nikrend, hey, yasibulala the traffic. Hey, asakhona ngisho ukwenzana hayi namhlanje ingane ezizalala zingadlile.
So it's going to be tough. You won't even be able to make any money today.
Hayi man namhlanje abelungu ke bayithole abaxole nje ukuthi i-checking ikhona ayizuba khona i-checking ngoba i-traffic iyasibulala.
All right, thank you so much. Leander, this is this is one of the taxi drivers that's sort of giving us an idea of what the frustration has been like this morning for them. And as we're walking, you can literally see that it's literally bumper to bumper. There are Metro police officers that have been stationed at almost each and every single corner. And as we're walking, we're literally walking up Pixley Sime Street, away from the Bree Street taxi rank. I mean, this
some
is
of
kind
the
of
people they got injured because of they were just curious, some they were just inquisitive, they went there. So through communication and encouraging our people that please, for your own safety, respect this area because it is not yet declared safe. Thank you very much, Premier.
Thanks to you, General Mawela. And on the nature of the guest, you know, we don't want to speculate because we have assigned all the experts that need to go there and find this leak or the cause of the explosion or the caliber of the gas. You are right. When you speak about gas, I was at the Eastern one, where it was clear it was a cylinder there. Here we are talking about an explosion that is underground, that had this huge impact, that it affected buildings, affected cars, and we now have somebody that has passed on. So let's allow the expert to go there and check it and advise us. Because if we enter the space of speculation, I really believe we're going to worsen the situation rather than allowing the expert and those that can give us proper guidance and advice to do so. We've got everyone here. The teams are here. You can see that behind me. The leadership of EgoliGas, they're here. They've assigned their own teams. The leadership of Sosol is here. So anyone that is in the business of gas that cut across our CBD, we've summoned them to come to the scene from last night. And they've been here and they've been hard at work. That is why we know the centimeters of the pipes, we know the low pressures and the high pressures, because they've been giving us this information. This is critical because if we don't know the cause, we are putting the lives literally of everyone at risk. And we can't do that. We can't be that irresponsible. So we have to bring everyone that manages gas, but we also have to bring everyone that has an infrastructure underneath. Even those that claim that infrastructure is innocent, like Telkom. We say Telkom come in. You can't just say we're doing this kind of wiring is not affected, it doesn't explode, because we don't know. So if we don't know, we treat everything as danger. And that's what they've been doing. Whoever has an infrastructure, electricity, switch it off. Let us be sure. Water, switch it off. Let us be sure. Sewer, switch it off. Let us be sure. Gas, switch it off. Let us be sure. And they are starting to give us feedbacks. It's not us. It's not our system. It's not. We are not affected. So that we can release, especially those that affect the day-to-day lives of our people. Electricity is very key. So that is why the team must give us an update as quickly as possible. If their systems are affected, if they're not affected, we can switch on electricity. We can bring water. We can bring all these services to our people as quickly as possible. But where we are stuck because we don't know the cause. We can't just have this kind of an explosion and say we don't know. I mean, that on its own creates doubts, creates uncertainty, and also questions some capabilities that we possess as a state. So we are working hard to find that the cause and also eliminate that cause, and then release the intervention mechanisms that need to be released so that we can support our people. So Heidi, you are right. The movement of people, it's something that we need to manage, and I'm glad that the police and our law enforcement agencies are working hard to control that situation. Gomorrah, Mayor. No, Mayor. No, don't laugh. Sorry.
Thank you very much for the question. But before I can respond, when you say predecessor, predecessors, are you talking as back as 2016 or recent? Because what I can assure you is that we've prioritized the rejuvenation of the city of Johannesburg, because we understand, and we are doing this through an intergovernmental relation. As you would know, the area, part of it is a precinct where the court is situated, and the competency does not lie with the city of Johannesburg. So we need to, in collaboration, and we've just recently resuscitated those relationships and those communication lines that need to be there for us to be able to coordinate an efficient response. The aging infrastructure that is under the surface, like the Premier has alluded to, the fact that it's not just government infrastructure. There's also private companies that own infrastructure that is there, and it's equally as dilapidated as that of government infrastructure. And we need to get the experts to do a thorough assessment so that we do not point fingers in terms of it is the government that has neglected its infrastructure, or it is the private sector that needs to be held responsible for this incident that we are faced with. However, it would be in our best interest, as we know the dense nature of the population in the CBD in particular, and having to quarantine an area gives us an indication of how we are going to go about, starting with the affected area at this point, assessing the extent in which the infrastructure is in fact dilapidated, so that we can deploy that particular model throughout the CBD, starting with the infrastructure that is below the surface. It is a concern to all of us that we can go for 5 years without even looking into the possibility of assessing the state of the infrastructure that exists under the surface. So it is one of the possibilities that could be a contributing factor, but I want to also respond to the other possible allegation of underground activities that might be happening there. I do not want to speculate, because it would be irresponsible of us as government. We do not condone any activities that may have been taking place, but we as a province are faced with a big challenge, in particular of illegal mining. But I cannot attribute what transpired here to that particular aspect. Like my colleagues have just alluded to the fact that we need to be given a detailed report that would enable us to respond effectively to whichever contributing factor that got us to this incident. Thank you.
Apologies, Executive Man. This is a serious matter, so sorry for the slip of the tongue. I want to once more thank our emergency services staff, once more thank our police and JMPD and all our staff members. They are the real heroes of ensuring that we've saved lives, we've managed to be where we are. They've worked overnight and provided us with the relevant information. So if you don't mind, Commissioner, I want to leave it here, and then our communication team will communicate with you so that we can give you another update around 1 o'clock. Hopefully by that time we can be in a position to give you full details about the costs. I know, Heidi, you came now, the energy is there, but I will... Yes, feel free.
I just want to ask, you keep saying that... So just two questions, sorry. You might have answered it, but if you could just elaborate. You keep saying you're going to get a report and we need to allow investigations, but surely you must have some time frame, because that part of the CBD is literally at a standstill. People are obviously trying to make a living, get to work, whatever the case might be. Taxis need to operate. That's not happening as it normally would. What is the time frame? When are you expecting this report to get to the bottom of the real cause of this? I mean, if you're speaking about gas and explosions, the second question is, are you worried of like a secondary impact? Thank you.
Ngobile Medala from Newsroom Africa. My question, Premier, is just simple. You speak of gas, and I do understand that you say there's a lot that still needs to happen, but how dangerous is this in terms of health? Because there are people that are currently in town that are in these areas. What sort of threats does this pose to their health?
Premier, morning again. I'm going to repeat this question that I asked last night, and I think I'm going to ask it again in the afternoon or in the evening. It's very simple, Premier. We see that EgoliGas doesn't, actually EgoliGas is saying that it can't be held responsible for now. And yet we don't know that what caused this incident. Now, the question to you, Premier, is that what type of shambok or decision or punishment that you are preparing, because a life has been lost and lives are at risk here. Should it happen that either a private company or a government infrastructure could be the cause of this fatal incident? Thank you.
My name is Zuliban Mazibuga from Switch TV. My question is directed to the Mayor. So, Mayor, you said that there are some measures that you guys have taken to sort of create other alternatives for the people that were affected. Can you just take us through, as in, what exactly are the measures that you guys have put in place so that the people that are affected are not as much as affected? Thank you.
Balentle Mthethwa for SABC News, and this question is directed at the Mayor. Now, we do understand that this is not the first time sinkholes in the city of Johannesburg. We also saw sinkholes or just the ground falling apart in Roodepoort on Hinderpoort, and I've just seen a tweet indicating that, you know, that problem still exists to this day, and the road has not been fixed since then, since November last year. How quickly can we expect the issue to, the road to return to normality? Because it seems as though there's also a culture of leaving sinkholes open for an extended period, which obviously poses additional dangers for Johannesburg residents. So once all these investigations are done, how quickly will we see the road closures or be fixed?
Thanks for the questions. We want to take back the city to its original life as of yesterday. But the reality is that we don't know the cause. And the teams that are working on getting us this information advises us that at least by 1 o'clock, we will give you another update. And that is why we are saying, let's meet around 1. Hopefully by that time we'll have an update. If we don't have an update, we'll tell, because we just want to avoid speculations and understand how can we intervene. I think there's another person that raised a question. I'm not sure it's you, in terms of the gas itself, because that's our immediate area of concern. But we've got health and environmental specialists that are already on the scene to assess that gas and also to determine whether it has direct impact to our residents or our citizens in the city. So it's part of the report that we'll get, because they were dispatched early this morning, so that we know whether we are risking in terms of the lives of the people that are within the CBD area or within the area of the incident or the explosion. So we will get that report as soon as possible. Can there be a secondary explosion? The teams advised us that that's what they're trying to avoid. So from their planning point of view is that there can be a secondary explosion. That is from their planning, not that it will happen. From their planning point of view is that let's do everything possible so that when there is a secondary explosion, no lives can be lost. And that's why the road diversion and our frustration with citizens or people that are going through the CBD, they might be going to work or going to court, but we need to protect their lives. So from just a crisis management point of view, the team is moving from a point of view that says, in case there is a secondary explosion, we should ensure that so that they will be in a position to put the necessary systems and assist us. You can't hold people responsible unless you know the cause. So I can't blame Egoli when we don't even know whether it's them or it's all the people that people are speculating they might be. But indeed, any arm of the state, any form of business that will or have a hand in the explosion, there must be consequence management. You are right, a life has been lost, and we are extending our sincere condolences. That is why I've personally requested the police, let's get the identity of the person, so that there is a human touch to the family and those that are affected. So they're working very hard to get. We've got a new fingerprint system that we've launched in Gauteng to identify those that are deceased. So the team has been requested to come to the scene. We will get the details if it's documented and then share that with the family. The 12 that are still in hospital, when I leave here, I'm going to visit them in hospital as well, so that we can check how far they are and provide the necessary support. But we don't know the cause, and it will be extremely difficult for us to then say Egoli or whoever must be held responsible. But those that, when the report is finalized and presented to us, we will be in a position to provide and take necessary action that is expected from us. Executive Mayor, should I leave you with the Soweto TV, Zweli, and Mbali? But I want to respond to Mbali. We are a mining province. We are going through lots and lots of sinkholes. Yesterday I had the honor to chair our provincial cabinet meeting. We are setting up teams that will deal with all sinkholes in our province. Those that are using the R21, they will tell you the pain of going through R21 and the delays, because there's a massive sinkhole that is developing there. You go to Mirafo, there's a massive sinkholes that are developing there. You go to Centurion, Rodeo Port, outside Protea. So there are lots of sinkholes that we are aware of them. We just need a joint response. You can't leave it to the municipality alone. You can't leave it to the province. We really believe that national must assist us. Unfortunately, we've made, for example, an application for the sinkholes of Mirafong to be declared a national disaster. The national government have refused. They said that they can't declare them a national disaster. It means we must go and look for funds on our own. I was saying to the MMC responsible for finance here, Tadamre, that if the sinkholes in Mirafong, government refuses to declare them a national disaster, it means we must start to move on our own budget to repair the situation in the CBD. So we're going through this difficulty. So if it's standing empty, as you say in road report, it's not because we are neglecting it. It's just that we have to move the resources, get the expertise to assist us to deal with those things. Now that we know the post of national government, I was saying we will appeal to President that even though the department that are responsible to declare these things, to declare disasters, have refused to declare Mirafong a disaster, we will appeal to the President to say, please assist us, because we don't have the financial muscle and resources to repair the areas that we have indicated. And that's the reason why I felt that you must understand that we are facing lots and lots of sinkholes in Gauteng, and we are trying our level best to resource and to repair those sinkholes. Executive Mayor, do you want to respond to Zweli?
Thank you very much, Zweli, for the question. And Bali, I'm also going to give our MMC finance, because we had a conversation about it, to redirect budgets. But in terms of the time frame as to how long it's going to take for us to repair the road, I will not be able to give you an accurate answer at this point. However, we are prioritizing the reconstruction of the road there, but also equally as important is our understanding of the cause of the incident itself, so that we can fix it and then deal with the restoration of the infrastructure that has been damaged. Zweli, correct? Yes. So we have a department called Human Settlement. Human Settlement, what they do is they conduct a occupation audit in the affected area, and to get a determination as to can we be able to match that with the stock that the city of Johannesburg has, should it be that there is an evacuation that is required immediately. Also, for us to be able to make the determination is the air quality that is around that area, and the danger that the gas can potentially pose. But we are highly reliant on the report that we are about to acquire, so that we can get a determination as to whether we need to evacuate the buildings themselves. But what we have done for now is to ensure that the homeless people have a place that they can be redirected to, so that they are not out in the public, because most of the casualties that we have sustained in the city are pedestrians and bystanders. We are also assessing the integrity of the infrastructure, the buildings, on how the foundations may have been affected by the blast itself. But so far, none of the buildings have shown any sign of caving in, which is at this point fortunate for us. But also, it is important that the pedestrians on the streets are the ones that are highly in danger. So we have allocated an area, like the Premier has alluded. It's on Kotse. Correct.
Yeah.
Number 3 Kotse. So that we ensure that there's nobody on the street. And highly, it's also a question that was responded to you as well, in terms of reinforcement of law enforcement agencies that are on the ground to redirect people away. It's inconvenient, yes, and they will not be happy to be redirected in that fashion. However, it is necessary and critical for their safety. In addition to that, there was a suggestion that we try and get permits for the residents themselves that live in the buildings that are affected, so that we can be able to control the movement around that area and ensure that people that are there have to be there. It's a necessity that they are there, and everyone else is redirected as far away from the affected area as possible. So for now, we have allocated a place for the homeless, and we are assessing the air quality and the integrity of the buildings before we can make a determination as to move them to the stock that the city has available. That's the measures that we have put in place to try and respond. So thank you very much.
Thank you, General. We're handing over to you now. I think we're done. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Ladies and gents, thank you very much for the support and for coming. Have a good day.
Thanks. Thanks so much. Yeah, let's say around 1 o'clock.
I don't know if they do.
Okay, let me not stop.